Hi, I'm Jer. Welcome to Kill-Divill. Today we are going to make one of the ingredients I use to make my cocktails. We're going to make honey syrup. The whole video will probably be shorter than the introduction and the title, so if you want to get right to it, hit the timestamps down below. Otherwise, don't forget to subscribe and hit turn on notifications, and if you like what I'm doing, feel free to hit a like down below and comment on anything that you have questions on. And let's get started. Honey is a common ingredient in a lot of cocktails. However, raw honey is pretty difficult to work with. Here we have my fancy dancy Trader Joe's organic raw honey. I try to go organic whenever I can. I also try to go raw and local if possible. This is Trader Joe's. Pick something that works for you. If you look at this raw honey though, it is pretty tough stuff. Trying to shake this into a drink would be very, very difficult. Trying to stir it into a drink would be almost impossible. So what we're going to do is make a syrup out of it. So the first thing to do to make a syrup out of honey is get the honey out of the jar. That seems painfully obvious to me. Hopefully it's painfully obvious to you. Trying to cook this plastic will make your syrup taste funny, so don't do that. And I'm just going to use a spoon and scoop it all out. If you want to make a smaller batch, you can use smaller amounts of honey, but then you'll have to be careful with your proportions. What we're going for is proportions of volume. So I'm going to do 1 cup of honey for 1 cup of water. I'm using cups as a sample measurement. It could be any measurement. It could be 30 milliliters if you're in Europe. It could be ounces. It could be pounds. Well, pounds is not volume, but I'm going to struggle with this for a moment, so I'll be back with you in a moment. Okay, now that I have the honey in the saucepan, I'm going to put an equal volume of water in here. And I'm going to use the jar that the honey came in as my measuring tool. And just add the water right in. Now, we're going to put this on the stove and bring it slowly warm it as the honey dissolves and mixes with the water. Now, I'm going to do this over a medium-low heat. I don't want it to get too warm and burn the honey, and I wanted to give it a stir every once in a while to make sure nothing's sticking to the bottom. The goal is to soften the honey and dissolve it, not to cook it. Okay, now that the honey is all dissolved, I'm going to remove it from the heat and I'm going to let it cool to room temperature. Alright, now while we're letting the honey syrup cool, I'd just like to point out that the ratios that I used, 1:1 honey to syrup, is not the only ratio you can use. You can actually use any ratio you want, depending on how sweet you want your syrup to be and how strong the honey flavor you want it to be. Another popular ratio is 2:1, so it's going to be 2 parts honey to 1 part water. And you can get that by using the same container you did before. Fill it with water. And then measure it out. See where my ounces is. In this case, is just over 8 ounces, which is 240 milliliters of water. So I'd take it, pour it back, and pour it back in again until I get to just above 4. And that'd give me a 2:1 ratio honey to water. Okay, now that the honey syrup is cool, I can bottle it. And I've got these fancy glass bottles. You can use any bottles, any jars, any Tupperware container that you'd like to use that you have on hand. Anything that you can make airtight. And I've got a funnel that I'll use to put the honey in, or pour the syrup through. I'm just going to carefully do this. And each of these bottles that I have are about 8 ounces, 240 milliliters. I'm doing math in my head, are you impressed? So there's one bottle. And there's the second bottle. See if I can get all of this in 2 bottles. It's going to be close. Oh, no. All right, I'm going to have to get a 3rd bottle for the remainder. But let's just seal these up. I just got a screw cap. Screw the cap tight. And then the final step is I'm going to label these. little bit of masking tape. If you have fancy labels, you can use fancy labels. I don't have fancy labels, so masking tape it is. Slap that on the side. Then we've got honey syrup, 1 to 1, and then the date today is 10. I don't know what the date is today. Let's say it's the 16th and the 20th. And there we go, honey syrup. We'll show you how to use it in other videos, so if one of my recipes calls for honey syrup, you know how to make it. Thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed this video, and we'll see you next time on Kill-Divill.